Just going to use this opportunity to shill my other platforms. You can find all my links on my Linktree page. The main pages I'm going to be using other than YouTube are going to be Minds, Odyssey, BitChute, Rumble, and Truth Social. So if you guys want to give me a follow over on those other platforms, I'd really appreciate it. Without further ado, let's get into the video. All right, everyone, what is up here today, YouTube? Jigsaw0097. Sorry for this late video for the Steelers Eagles, but I actually wanted to kind of step back for this game and analyze the team as a whole, kind of at the midway of the season here. So yes, as you guys already know, the Eagles going into Week 9 versus the Houston Texans on Thursday Night Football are 7-0. They are still undefeated. And what a wild ride, guys. Like I've said in previous videos, I really did not expect the Eagles to be this good in 2022. A.J. Brown, I think it's safe to say he is Alshon Jeffrey reincarnated from 2017. The man is unstoppable. And then we have Devontae Smith and Dallas Goedert. So we basically have Alshon Jeffrey 2017, Deshaun Jackson 2013, and Zach Ertz 2017 on the Eagles with how much they're playing, with how well they're playing, because when I see these players, they have different names and they have different numbers on the jerseys, but this just reminds me of the classic Eagles football that I've grown to love in my roughly 10 years watching the team. But yeah, we'll get right into this. Like I said, I want to discuss several things in this video. As you guys will see in the screen there, I do have the Eagles score up against the Steelers. And then I also actually want to go over the division as a whole, because the NFC East, guys, it is the best division in the NFC this year. Hands down. It's okay to say that now. You know, a lot of people like to hate on the NFC East because every year we're one of those trash divisions for most of the history. There's usually just like one team that's good and the rest is trash. But not this year, guys. Not this year. And I am loving it. So yeah, we will get into this starting with the Steelers game. The Eagles beat the Steelers 35-13. It was an absolute massacre, guys. This was easily the Eagles' most dominant win in the season. Now I know the Steelers aren't a particularly good team by NFL standards in 2022, but you know, you do play the team in front of you, and the Eagles were able to handily take care of business, as you can see on the stats here. It was pretty tied in the first quarter with 7-7. Then it was 3 points for the Steelers to 14 for the Eagles. And, you know, the Eagles just kept scoring from there. So the Eagles averaged a touchdown a half, guys, and that is very good. A little over a touchdown a half, about 8.5 points around there. So the Eagles were just, you know, all the criticism this year of the Eagles not being able to do a full game. Now, again, I know it is the Steelers, but the Eagles, in my opinion, this was the first game where they were able to play a full dominant game. And this kind of reminded me of like Eagles Broncos or like Eagles Cardinals from 2017, if you remember those games where, you know, Wentz was just distributing the ball all around the field. And that this was really kind of the A.J. Brown show, as we will see when we get into the stats. But the Eagles still, I think Zach Pascal had a touchdown as well. So the Eagles were still able to spread it around, and A.J. Brown was just dominant in this game. The Steelers had no answer for him. So if you're not going to stop a guy like A.J. Brown, then of course you're going to keep going to him. And so, yeah, it was just fun to watch in that regard. So getting into the stats here now, guys, the stats. Let me move this over. So it looks like the Eagles had 401 total yards to the Steelers 300. So it was pretty balanced there. But the Eagles had 290 passing yards, which is pretty crazy. Like I said, this is a different game because they usually have more rushing yards. The Eagles only had 111 rushing yards. We didn't see a lot of Miles Sanders in this game. We didn't see a lot of Kenneth Gainwell. We pretty much saw what I said before. We saw A.J. Brown, we saw Devontae Smith, and we saw actually quite a bit of Dallas Goedert. So it was really, this was a pass-heavy game. And so yards per play, 7.6 to the Steelers, 4.3. The Steelers had more rushing yards than us, 144, yeah. So, and then the first down was pretty evenly distributed. Third down efficiency, we were 7 of 12, so still good there. We've been pretty good there all year. Total plays 53 to the Steelers 70. So yeah, the Eagles are just getting it done in the air. This is what this tells me. And then we even had less time of possession than the Steelers. So it was just this was a very different game than what I've seen all year, but the Eagles pretty much had this in the bag after the second quarter, going into the halftime. So it is any given Sunday. You never know when the team is going to come back, but this was a very dominant win to watch, and like I said, it was the AJ Brown show. Because now we will get into the touchdowns, and I was mistaken earlier. Sorry, guys. Miles Sanders did have a touchdown. I actually forgot about that. So we got a Miles Sanders touchdown. We have 3 AJ Brown touchdowns, and then we have a Zach Pascal touchdown. So this is a 5-touchdown day. This is very impressive. And Jalen Hurts was 19-28 for 285 yards, 4 TDs, 0 interceptions. Again, just fantastic. They even put Minshew in there at the end. Or sorry, Minshew. I always say his name wrong. They put Minshew in there because the game was in the bag. So this was probably, again, statistically, this is one of the Eagles' best games as far as the 2022 season, and right at the midpoint too. You can't ask for a better game as far as going into Week 9 for a Thursday night game. Just a very dominant win. They're going to get less rest to get ready for the Texans, but this is just a good way to end it. So that's really all I have to say about the Steelers game, guys. I mean, like I said, 35-13. It speaks for itself. The Eagles are 7-0. They are the best NFL team record-wise in the league in 2022, and we'll see if that streak can continue. And all right, so the next thing I wanted to get into real quick is to just go over the other screenshot that you're seeing on the screen right now, which is the NFC East division. As you guys can see, the Eagles are 7-0, the Cowboys are 6-2, the Giants are 6-2. The Giants did lose to the Seahawks, thank goodness. I was glad that they were taken down a peg. But the Commanders beat the Colts, so the Commanders are now 4-4. So I was kind of predicting that I think the Commanders could be one of those teams that kind of comes up a little in the end. But right now we just have a very competitive division, guys. We have a very competitive division. The Eagles are 7-0, but if you look at the division there, they're only 1 game ahead, and that's kind of how it's been all year. They've been tied or 1 game ahead for most of the year because the other teams are getting it done. I have to give credit where credit is due. The Cowboys are getting it done, the Giants are getting it done, and the Commanders are starting to figure it out. So it's going to be a tight one, guys. It is going to be a tight one. If we go over the Eagles' remaining schedule here, which I wanted to do real quick, we've got the Texans on Thursday, which is November 3rd. Then we've got the Commanders on Monday, which is November 14th. So the Eagles could take care of a big problem right there if we end up sweeping them. Then we play the Colts, the Packers, and the Titans, and this was the one that I keep talking about is December 11th when we play the New York Giants. That's going to be a huge game, guys. Huge game. And then on Saturday, December 24th, after we play the Bears, we are going to play the Cowboys, and then we play the Saints and the Giants. So the Eagles will have a chance. They will absolutely have a chance to wrap it up. Those final Dallas Giants games could be very important, especially if we lose to the Giants once. So the end of the season actually could be a very intense stretch there, and we'll just see. I'm really excited. The division games are more exciting than the actual regular season games now, which is a little different than years past for me because usually the division games were kind of like hand-me-downs. Like in the 2017 season, we lost to the Cowboys, but it was like a throwaway end-season game. And so, like, the division was in the bag from the beginning that year, where this year it's like the regular season, teams like the Colts, the Titans, the Bears, like these teams feel like they're easier to play than the actual division games. So it's very, very different this year. All right, and then just to tie this video into a nice little bow here, the last thing I wanted to go over was the Eagles' injuries. Obviously, this is going to be about Jordan Davis. It looks like he was diagnosed with an injured right ankle, and Nick Sirianni did say that he's likely to miss the game against the Texans. So that is kind of a big hit. Jordan Davis was starting to pick it up pretty good recently. Like he started the season, kind of average, I guess. Like I don't know how to say it. He wasn't as dominant, but he was really starting to hit his stride, and so this injury does suck. But, the Eagles are kind of the team right now where we're not being plagued with the injury bug like other teams because we're getting like one big injury a week. Obviously, the Lane Johnson injury, we got bailed out by the bye week, but this one, unfortunately, we're going to have to suffer through it without him, and we'll see how it goes. But this is on the defensive side. I'm usually more worried when we lose offensive linemen than defensive linemen because we saw that when we were playing against the Cowboys, is that when when Lane Johnson went down, that was a big hit, and Jalen Hurts was getting sacked more. So I think our entire O-line is still healthy at this point, so that is good news. So, and yeah, there's an article about this as well from NBC Sports if you guys want to read it about the Jordan Davis injury. I'll leave that in the link of the description if you guys really want to check that out. But just wanted to go over the Jordan Davis news real quick because it doesn't look like anything crazy came out. I was going to give it a day. That's one of the reasons why I'm making this video now and not yesterday, because I wanted to kind of give it a day and see what they said about that, as well as compile all of this other stuff that we talked about in the video as well. But yeah, that is kind of it for this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. The Eagles are 7-0. They are still undefeated. It is a very exciting time in the football world, and something I just didn't expect. You know, the Eagles, they are the best team record-wise in the NFL. I mean, it's just wild. They're playing better football in ways now than they were in 2017, because I remember in 2017 they lost to the Chiefs, I think week 2, and then they lost to the Seahawks later on. But you know, the Eagles this year, like I said, any given Sunday they can still lose, but a lot of people are predicting 10-0, and I can see a path to that very easily. Like I said, the next 3 games we got the Texans, the Commanders, and the Colts, and then everybody's saying Green Bay is when we could lose, but you know, the Green Bay Packers are pretty bad, so that could be 11-0. Then we play the Titans, that could be 12-0, and then really the Giants is the one that I'm going to look at, because we could be 12-0 going into the Giants, which already puts us in an amazing predicament. I mean, like assume the Giants keep winning, right? If the Giants keep winning, they'll be like 10-2 by then, so we'll be 2 games ahead. And so, I mean, the sky's the limit, guys. The sky's the limit. This is definitely a fly Eagles fly year, not a die Eagles die video or year. So anyway, like I said, that is the video. If you like this, please go ahead and like it, as it does help the algorithm. If you're new to the channel as well, go ahead and subscribe. And also be sure, as always, to check out my alternative tech platforms, because YouTube is trash, and I'm going to say that on every video because I just want to incentivize more and more people to branch out and use more platforms than YouTube. So with that said, guys, thank you so much for watching. This has been Jigsaw0097. I will talk to you all later.